Yo, what's going on guys, Caden here, back with another video, and today I'm back yet again in Schedule 1, and today in this video we are over at the bungalow, and I'm going to be building the new fully kitted out bungalow, but also giving you guys a full employee in-depth tutorial, so a step-by-step on how I'm going to be kitting this out. So yeah, let's get straight into the build. Alright guys, so first off, to start off our tutorial, we have all of our supplies here. Now what you're going to need is 4 drying racks, 12 air pots, 12 suspension racks, and 12 LED lights. Then over here we have our storage. This doesn't really matter specifically a number, it's just kind of whatever your preference is. And then we're going to have our fertilizer, our preferred seed, soil, and just some more fertilizer and seed. And yet again, these are optional for your thing. And then we're going to head outside and we have all of our employees to be able to make our fully automated setup. So you can see we have 3 handlers and 2 of our botanists. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up our growing areas, and then we'll start setting our botanists up and our handlers to make it to where it is fully automatic. We're going to start off by just setting this room up and making it kind of clean. We're just going to fill this room up with all the pots and just see what it looks like, and we may change it up or something like that, but we'll make a full setup starting off in this room. Next, we're going to be placing our suspension racks and then our lights to go over our pots. Then next, we're going to be setting up our drying racks. I'm going to place mine along here. Alright guys, so now we have our drying racks and our pots placed, and the next step is we're going to be taking our clipboard and setting exactly what we want to be putting in our pot. Now for us, specifically today, we're using green crack seed, and our additive is going to be fertilizer. So you're going to set your green crack seed and fertilizer on all your pots, and then you're also going to be setting your destination to your desired drying rack. So you can see that I'm just going to set like 2 per drying rack, and then also you can see here we're going to set our target quality to the max level we can, just like that. And so I'm just going to go through and set all these pots to exactly what we're looking for, but yet again, you just click on it, set your seed, set your additive, and then set your destination. So I'm going to get to that now. Alright guys, now that we have all of our pots set and their destination, next we're going to be setting up the supplies to use for our workers. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a large shelf, and we're going to take 2 of these because we have 2 workers, and then we're going to just set these up. We're just going to set them up inside here because we have plenty of room. So just 2 shelves inside of here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filling these up with their supplies. So we're going to be putting in our green crack seed, fertilizer, and the soil. So I'm just going to fill up each of these racks with an even amount, and then we'll assign our botanists and all of our employees. Alright guys, so now we have all of our designated supplies in their shelves, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up a extra shelf on the outside here, which is going to have extras to be able to easily and quickly refill these, and then we're going to start setting our stations to our employees. Alright guys, so we have some of our extra storage racks here. Now if you're preferred, then you can set up, you know, more small storage racks around. You can fill it up and fill up a bunch of these areas, but I'm just keeping it very simple and easy to follow along. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up to our botanists, and what we're going to be doing is setting their supply racks and then their drying racks. I'll get into the bed thing later because there's going to be 2 different options. You can either use a glitch or you can put them inside the base. So first you're going to take your first one and you're going to come in here and set them to their spot. Then what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be setting this guy to 8 pots. Once we set his bed and put in his wages, he'll start coming in and filling these up. And then with our next one, we're going to set them to their pots and then the drying racks. So we're going to go up to our next person, assign them their supplies, just like that, and then assign the pots and then assign the drying racks. And there we are. Then next what we'll be doing is we'll be setting the destination where it's going to go from the drying racks into our final storage area or into the packing station where they can pack and then be put away, which is actually what we're going to set up next. But before we do that, we're going to get into the beds and the full bed setup and the options which you have with that. So with the bed setup, you could either place your 5 beds along inside the base, all along here, a lot of different areas, or what we could do is we're going to be doing a glitch where you can place them inside of your motel base. So you can place them in the motel base, and then all you have to do is run back and forth between them and assign your beds to these people. So I'm going to go over there and place them down and give you guys a little example, but if you want to make it easy on yourself, you can just place them in here, but I'm going to keep it open for a nice free-flowing space. But let's head over to the motel. Alright guys, so it turns out the bed glitch is actually patched where you go ahead and put it in the motel. So we're just going to be finding a nice little area to place the beds inside here, and then I'll start assigning them to their beds and their stations and all that. So we'll get into that next. Alright guys, so I added in a bit of storage and set up our beds in the area. So we just have 2 along here and 3 along in the kitchen. And what I'm also going to be doing is just placing our brick press right here, which will be for all of our packing. So now what we're going to be doing is setting all the routes for our handlers. So we're going to assign them all a bed real quick, and we already finished everything that we have to do with the botanist. Now all that we do now is set it from the drying racks and set the destination into the brick press. So I'll just do all that now, and then we'll get into next setting up all the moves with the handlers after I set them all to their bed and fill up their briefcases with money. Alright guys, so now we have all of our setups and all the destinations set along here. Now what we're going to be talking about is the destination. So when you have these destinations set, it says that the assigned botanist is meant to take it from here and move it into the brick press or move it into the certain areas. But honestly, sometimes it just doesn't work. Now, I don't know if that's a glitch or if it's with the setups or all that, but with a lot of setups, only what I find working is the botanist moving it from the pots into the drying racks, but they won't move it from the drying racks into the brick press. So that's where our handlers are going to come into play. So if you can manage to get it to work with the botanist, then what you can do is you can use one less handler and add in another botanist to your thing and add in a couple more drying pots and all that and mix up your design. But we're just going to be using the 3 handlers to make it pretty simple and just make sure that we're pumping out all the product that we can and efficiently into bricks. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a handler and you're going to assign just one to our station here because we're just going to be using one for the bricks, and then we're going to add in all the roots. So for the roots, what they're going to be is it's just going to be drying rack into the brick press, drying rack into the brick press, bang to here, and bang into here. And then it'll just be from the brick press into the shelf. And then that hypothetically should be everything. So all that we would have is they would come and we're going to put our money in all of our things and test this out, and they'll fill up the pots, and then they'll take them from the pots, trim them, set them into the drying racks, and then the handler will come in, move it to the brick press, use the brick press, and then move it into here. So if that's all working well with the handler, then what we can start doing is scaling it up. So we can get rid of one handler, add in another botanist, add in a couple more pots, and regardless, and you can scale it. But yet again, we're just doing the easiest and basic setup we can do along here. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to fill all their briefcases with money, sleep, and then they'll come in and I'll show you guys the full process in motion. Alright guys, so it is now the morning and you can see all of our employees are filled up with their money inside of their briefcases here, and what they'll do is our botanists will start coming in and picking up their supplies. So you can see they're going to take the soil that they need from inside here. You can see they picked up the soil, and then once they pick up the soil, they're going to lay it all along here. It's going to take them a pretty long time, and they're going to set this up, and then they'll put their seeds, water it, fertilizer, everything they need. But you can see they're going to start this process along here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this for a little bit, let them set up this whole area, and then when they trim it and move it to the drying racks, I'll show you guys that process. And then hopefully we just leave this all out. It'll end up just pumping out a bunch of bricks in our large storage. So I'm just going to let them finish up the design here. And yeah, that's pretty much a basic tutorial here, and now we'll just get into the final product and the whole process. Another thing I want to mention before we get too far into the video, if you guys would like to use the trash pickers as well, so the people who pick up all the trash, what you could do is you could take the trash cans and you place them like in the center of the room, and you would get 3 of the trash cans. You could place them all around in your areas, and then you would just set them to one of your people. But I find it kind of useless and not that important really, like picking up the trash as a whole employee when you can use them for a lot more useful things. But those are very, very simple. It's the same thing. You can take your clipboard and all you have to do is assign them to a trash can. And yet again, if you guys got this far in the video, make sure you guys go ahead and drop a subscribe down below. I'm absolutely grinding out to get to 50k subs, but we're gonna finish up, and you can see they are now placing the seeds and fertilizing them, and then we'll get into the drying process. All right, you can see one of our employees is now coming over here and hanging up the product to dry. So then once it dries, it'll be moved and pressed into a brick and then finally put away. And what I'm doing is I fired one less handler and added another worker, and what we can do is set up a couple more pots here. So we just set up 6 more pots, 2 more drying racks, and then set up the same process with the handler. But yet again, this is just the simplest tutorial going step by step to show you guys everything. So you can see now we have the drying rack and we have our product here drying until it gets to the maxed out level, which is heavenly, and then it'll be moved into our brick press, which you can see they're coming to dry up more product now. Alright guys, so now you can see all of our drying racks are full and they've been filled up, and now what's happening is they are finishing up their process here, you can see, and then they will come and take them and move it into the brick press. And then once that finishes up to 20, then we will get our first brick produced. But what I wanted to mention as well is it's not straight effective putting them straight into bricks if you want to mix. If you want to mix, then it's better off that you just let your product build up, it becomes heavenly, and then you move it into the shelves. And then what I have is I have a tutorial showing you guys how to make a fully automatic mixing setup in like the barn and the dock. But you can't have mixing setups inside the bungalow because there's a max of 5 employees, so you'd only really be able to mix it 1 or 2 ingredients, which isn't really worth anything. It's not that good, and you'd have to have a chemist and all this, and it's not worth it. So it's better off to do your mixing in a different property like the barn or the dock property. So what I have in my other world is a setup where it moves all the product and moves it into a shelf, and I can come pick pick it up and set it up in the mixing area, which I have a full tutorial on here. But now we're just gonna wait 30 more seconds. This is gonna pump out our first brick, and that is pretty much the full setup. All right, you can see our guy has now moved a couple other things from the shelf and moved it into the brick press. So now what he's gonna do is settle up and pump out our first brick and then move it into our shelf, and they'll be consistently doing that for the next little bit. And yet again, with this design, you can see we can scale it. You can use this pretty much anywhere, and it's a pretty similar process with all of the things. So you can see we just got our first brick there, a heavenly green cracked brick. And yeah, so they're just gonna make more and more and more, and that's pretty much everything for the setup. So regardless, if you guys enjoyed that video and you would like more tutorials and everything, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and that is everything for our bungalow setup. So if you guys enjoyed that video, I'll see you guys in the next one.